All right, everybody, welcome back. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I'm just back from helping Ashley with moving some stuff into her house, and I'm just hoping that this is going to be the start of a new chapter for her, and hope that she can pick up the pieces of her life. It's tough to watch, to be honest, but we all have ups and downs in our life that we just need to navigate the storm and the stormy seas as best that we can, you know. Even though it conjures and brings up a lot of emotions and regrets and hopes for the future. But as I say, I'm just hoping that she can finally stabilise her life and then just manage it from there. But I had an idea for some new content, really, because obviously having a a desktop computer, you have access to a lot more stuff. You can pull things up on the screen as opposed to when I used to do it on my phone and things like that. So I wanted to kind of um, go through some of the prisons that I've been in and look at them on maps and things like that, show people where bits are, where maybe where something happened or wherever I spent time. Now, obviously, I've spoken about my experiences of some prisons before, but I think it's better to, when you see the place in the flesh, it's like if I'm reading about a crime, it's sometimes it can be hard to picture what happened if you don't have access to the scene, the surrounding area, whatever. Um, so I'm going to have a virtual tour of Barlinnie, let's just say, using Google Earth. But before we go into that, I just want to say that Google Earth, Barlinnie is it's the biggest prison in Scotland. It's situated in the east end of Glasgow. It's over 200 years old. I think it was constructed in around about 1888, 89. It was something like that. It was the late 1800s. So we're talking about a Victorian prison, which was built to replace Duke Street Prison. That prison's been demolished. It's not there anymore. I would have loved to have seen that. But the first time I ever went to Barlinnie, I was 15 years old, right? And I had been arrested for abducting two social workers, as I've explained several times on other podcasts and on my own channel. Excuse me. Now, when I did this, as I explained, I was 15 years old. There was a lot of chaos in my life, a lot of violence, a lot of turmoil. I was totally out of control behaviourally, mentally, emotionally. My father had just died the year before, so I was completely on a rampage, embedded in gang culture, like constantly having running battles in the street, getting attacked, attacking people, all this stuff. So, no, really a stable life. And if you want to look at it like that, it's all the ingredients you need in your life to make it into Barlinnie, not that you want to make it like it's like first place in the fucking football team or whatever. It's somewhere you don't really want to go. But at that time, I don't think I realised the severity of my situation, the seriousness of my situation. And especially like this was a different time. So we're talking 1997. The first time I went into Barlinnie, and it was on what we called the bar bus. Bar being short for Barlinnie. Like in the movies and Taggart and all these fucking shows, you hear them going Barrel, Barrel. Nobody calls it that. Nobody calls it Barrel. The only place people call Barrel is a housing estate in East End of Glasgow called Barlanark. So if I heard somebody referring to Barlinnie as Barrel, I'd probably be checking to see if they were fucking wired up or something. Kidding on. But this was obviously a long time ago in prisons, and especially in Scotland, they've improved a wee bit since then. But in the day, Barlinnie, let's be honest, is still a shithole. It's always our capacity, just a fucking it's a hopeless place, and it's seen a lot of bad cases, seen a lot of misery. It's probably seen everything in this place, you know what I mean? But don't believe all this shit in the media. They tell you like, oh, we're doing this wee project, we're doing that wee project. For the most part, that's just guys filling their time in. In my experience, it's guys filling their time in. They might have good intentions at the time, but as soon as the gates are open, there's no telling what's going to happen in somebody's life. So let's just let's go through so this is the Scottish Prison Service website. It's like I'm imagining they've got one of these pages for every prison. So what I want to do for all their prisons, especially the ones that I've been in, is to do like a virtual tour. Obviously, we can't go into the halls and all, but we can do like a virtual tour from the air, and you can see the building. So here it's got Barlinnie is the largest prison in the country, receiving prisoners from the courts in the west of Scotland. The prison houses male prisoners remanding convicted of all sentence lengths. There is a national top end for those in custody who are life sentence or long-term prisoners approaching a potential release date. So this is also the governor, Mick Stoney. I actually know Mick Stoney from Low Moss Prison when it was first opened in 2012. He was the leader. The leader. That's a belter, bit of a Freudian slip there, wasn't it? He was the leader of the fucking the Low Moss cartel back then. Actually, didn't think he was that bad a guy, to be honest, but it's obviously I only know him through my dealings with him there. So we've got Jim Beaton, Deputy Governor. Never heard of you, Jim, but visiting Barlinnie, so they've got a wee video and visit timetables and convicted visits, remand visits, what kind of identification you need on arrival at Barlinnie for a visit, family contact, all the old shit. I've never had to look up because I was usually staying there, so you'd have to get but it's giving you, oh look, this is interesting, so look, history of the prison, right? So we'll get the history here, like a bit of history. 1870s date, so 1879, the purchase of the land where this prison was going to be built. So this is 1879. This is like back when Jack the Ripper was kicking a bit. So 1882, 100 years before I was born, A-Hall was commissioned. And I had actually been in A-Hall in 2011. 1883, B-Hall was commissioned. 1887, C-Hall commissioned, and Old Gate completed. So we're talking a good 7-8 year even build this, you know what I mean? 1888, house for chaplain and doctor built outside the gate. Mental, man. 1888. So 1890s to 1910s. 1890, link corridor A, B and C halls were built. 1892, D hall commissioned. 1893, chapel completed and perimeter extended to build E hall. In 1896, E hall was completed. And in 1908, old sheds built with alterations to E hall. Well, I'm assuming that's where the work is because I know there's sheds up that way and we call it the work sheds. So the 1930s to the 1950s. 1933, alterations to D Hall and new office block built adjacent to the gate. 1939, gymnasium and the old library was built. 1949, handicraft workshop built. Dining halls were built in 1951. Old visits rooms. The old visits room completed in 1954, and in 1955, the female block was built, closure of Duke Street. So Duke Street Prison was closed in the 1950s. I always thought it was earlier than that. So I did. So from the 60s to the 80s, 1960, the reception area was reconstructed and VT introduced. 1968, the new sheds were complete, and the special unit in female block was built opened in 1972 until 94. 1983, segregation unit complete. I was in there one time. I didn't mind it. It was actually alright. Bit of quiet. 1989, observation bridges built. Right, alright. So that's mad, a wee bit of history. I've never really noticed that before on anything like this. Pretty interesting to see, like, the hingways, like when it was built, and because I was under the impression they built it all at the same time, but clearly it was built in stages. But let's just kind of right, so where are we? Boom. Right, zoom right in on this, right? Where are we? Here we are. So this is Barlinnie from the air. Right? So this is looking from like west to the east. Hold on. So obviously this is the front car park, right? But this is like the new visits in that, where you need to go for your visits. So let me just kind of map all this out. That's A, then B, then C, then D hall, and that's E hall away up the back. That's one up the back. So it's not A, B, C, D, E. It's E, A, B, C, D. And obviously because they built that one last, right? But when you're coming in, you can right in this gate, right? You drive right down, you drive, depending on where you're coming from, right? Because you always pass that Ridley Library, right? And then you're away up this windy road, man, waiting for that gate, to see that gate to open and swallow you right up. You come through here, you park in this courtyard, right? You park here, and then you're usually escorted through here into the reception, right? And that's where the dog boxes and all that are. In here, see all this? This is little reception and the surgery, all this bit. And that's where you go to get processed and blah, blah, blah. Find out where you're going, all that kind of stuff. But hold on. Damn it. Wait now. So see this red path here? Hold on. Right, so see if you can see this red path going right oil the whole jail, right? And then it's going through here. It's going to be up here. That's called the route. So say you're going, that's E-Hall rec room in that there. I'm sure that's the hairdressers or the sheds. That's sheds there, right? Sheds. That's education. This bit's education, right? And I'm sure it was this bit here. No, wait, was it that bit? Or was it up here? Well, see where they held that Al McGrahy, the Libyan fucking, what was it? The Lockerbie bomber was up here, see above the surgery. Because obviously it had to be housed on his end. I'm sure eventually he got to like play football and that with people, but obviously they have to, when they first bring a prisoner like that in, they need to see how, what's the word in the yard and all that, what's going to happen to him, and assess it that way. But this is the prison chapel, so it's in between C and B hall. C hall, this one is mostly remand prisoners. That's a yard. It's obviously been fenced off. Hold on. So if we go this way, right, this is looking to the north. Perimeter wall run right along here. And I can actually see these bits here where the old toilets and that, where the old showers here. I can actually see them in this roof, right? And these bits here, I can actually see them for where I live, and it's like this old ghost just watching me from afar or something. I don't know, it just feels heavy foosty, mate. But anyway, here, this is Latham Hall. That used to be a like, young offenders, right? But that was opened in like 1999, I think. I was never in it, but I know plenty of people that were. In fact, I'm sure a few of the Rock Cowboys or the Mary Hull ones and couple of, can't mind who was all there. It was all different boys from Glasgow, but I'm sure some of them were for Rock Hull and that, and they smashed the fucking, see what smashed through all the walls in the cells, and they had to all get moved to fucking Long again back up or something. So it's quite a big complex when you look at it. It's almost like it's like a parallel universe, right? Because it is right. It's right in the middle of a built-up area, right? With motorway going past it, right? But when you think about it, this is a world unto itself, and it runs like a Swiss timepiece. This fucking jail, you can bet your bollocks on that, man. But they're closing it now, and they're building its replacement. Is it over here? So see here, right? So look, look HMP Glasgow, right? See it, HMP Barlinnie, and this here's where they're building the new one, right on this bit of land. Which let us just, or I don't even know what that is, right? So I'm not going to get into that. But the old Proven Mill Gas Works. So it's really they're just moving across the motorway. But I'm wondering what is going to happen with this place, right? Because this is a fucking, I don't know. It's a listed building, and part of part of the fucking the makeup of the Scottish penal system. Like, I think it should be turned into a museum or something. Don't know what any of you guys think, but uh, it'd be pretty strange to go back there as somebody who say was filming one day or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Came back to fucking just walk along here, but you know you can leave and when the tour's up, if you get me. It's mental. So this is a gym up here, the five-a-side pitch, sheds, workplaces where prisoners go to work. As I say, this is the education block. I can't remember what the fuck that was, because to be honest, I wasn't in Barlinnie. The longest I was in there was like 10 months before I had to go to fucking Shots or Barlinnie, no Barlinnie, Low Moss, wherever I was going. So these are the exercise yards. And it looks quite, see when you look at it now, it looks a bit more austere as opposed to like, see like years ago, like a couple of decades ago when these yards were all opened and they weren't fenced off. But they probably had to do it for the keep separates. Oh, and before I go, see this part where it says 81, this part here is what you call the digger, segregation, solitary confinement. But in Barlinnie, this is called the Wendy House. And I can kind of see why it got its name. But these bits are that's exercise. And there's a wee bit out the, I think there's one on the other side, I know. Hold on. Just me, what? See the other ones there, see it? It's me and my pal were in there. Mad Healy for Cran Hall. So look, you can't look seeing it for here, look, it's all fenced in, see it? That's the exercise pens there. That's the living bits, the cells. Quite quiet. Thought it was alright. But aye man, I like that. We virtual tour of Barlinnie. Excuse me. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. I thought that was quite went quite smooth. I might do more of them depending on if they're kind of watchable and that. But you all take care. I hope you're having a good start to your week. Have a good day.